It's a global ancient fine art form. In this segment of Frame, we're exploring the beautiful art of mosaics. And joining me is local artist, multidisciplinary artist, Kim O'Meara. Kim, thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you
Welcome
very
to
much.
Frame.
Thank you.
This area is breathtaking. Hopefully you can see what's behind us. We're on the campus of Mount Mercy University in a very special place that you were involved in restoring. So
yeah, I worked on a project that was funded by the Smithsonian, and it was called Save Outdoor Sculptures.
Yes.
Jane Gilmore, who is a professor of art here, was instrumental in working to get the grant, and that was over 10 years ago that we worked with the conservator to restore William Lightner's grotto.
Will you give us a background, the beginnings of a grotto? Where did they originate, and what are the elements involved in creating one?
Well, grottos and mosaics are both ancient art forms, and grottos actually kind of started from a religious movement where people found the need to worship kind of in private, and so that altars were kind of built out of caves and niches, and so that Christians could worship in kind of secret places that they weren't found out. So they went into these caves, and then they began to embellish them and to decorate them. And mosaics have been around for thousands of years with surface decoration, with ancient Romans, Greeks, the Byzantine mosaics. Actually, the Incas made beautiful mosaics. Almost every culture has a mosaic.
Do you want to give them a tour and talk about your restoration?
I can tell you that this was a labor of love. The grotto Our Lady of Sorrows was built by William Lightner, and he was an outsider artist. I believe he was an engineer by training, which makes sense if you're going to build a grotto, and he just started this, and it grew and it grew, and he would actually, story goes, he would ride the rails and get on a train car and head out west and bring back tons of rock that he'd found looking for that special stone or that special rock to incorporate into the grotto.
Dedication.
Yes.
Now, how did you get involved?
You know, I think Jane Gilmore is a friend of mine, and she knew that I was kind of the local mosaic resident artist, and I was teaching a mosaic class to my art students in Cedar Rapids schools, and asked if I could come over and bring the students over here to look at the grotto, and we just started talking, and I was the person who had the expertise to cut some of the glass that we used, and you can see a lot of stone was used, a lot of seashells, but there are areas where small pieces of glass were cut, and that's called tesserae, which tessa coming from like a four-sided object. And you actually, I believe they had schmalti, which was at one time small gold pieces of glass that had been coated with gold. We don't have any of that left, I don't believe, but I possessed the expertise to cut that and had just a love for this place. It was like a giant jigsaw puzzle where you were fitting the pieces in and trying to be true to the look of the original piece, so trying to fit those pieces in to keep the general feel the way Lightner had
intended it to be. Gorgeous. Now, the second part of our segment is pretty fun because Kim is allowing us in her studio studio where she's sharing with us her creative process and showing us a few of her recent finished pieces. Kim, what are you working on now?
Well, this is going to be actually kind of an altar piece. And I have another piece of plywood that's in exactly the same shape as this. It will be hinged and the doors will open so that it will be freestanding, and it will have mosaic on the inside and outside. So this is basically the outer door of my altar piece. I love the type of ceramics called lusterware, and that was made in Japan, and you get kind of a glistening glaze, and it comes in this nice blue-gray with the kind of terracotta color. I will eventually, it's hard to do, but I will break these pieces so that I can, you know, have certain colors that show, or pieces. And so not everything is flat. I do use cut glass, so I actually get big sheets of stained glass, and I will, I'll cut these into strips, and then I will actually nip them. And it depends on the look I want. If I want very uniformed tesserae, I will score it both ways and break it so that it's a nice even cut. But sometimes I want a little rougher edge.
Some of these have them.
Some,
I see.
Yeah, like they're a little odd shaped, and that's a look I really like too. So that I'll cut a strip, and then I'll use my nippers to do that. And so it's just a process of deciding what materials I want, and then putting the pieces together to form a mosaic. So I would like to teach you just how to cut some glass tesserae, and we'll do some strips, and then we'll eventually, these will be, I understand you really like mirror tile, and I thought this would be the perfect thing to do. So you use a diamond tip cutter. I have put kerosene into this because it lubricates, and it helps the cut. It kind of flows. Glass is kind of like a hard liquid, if that makes any sense. And you have to think about surface tension. And what we're doing is we're breaking the surface tension here. Use a cork-backed ruler, and then you're just wanting to keep your ruler very still, you know, hold it down in place. I've opened this up to let some air in, because you also want to let that have some air to breathe. Hold this still. You get one shot. You want to make it count. So I'm going to step in front of you and put some pressure on here, and then I'm just taking it, holding it still, and I'm just moving in one direction. And you could hear that kind of scritchy, scratchy sound, but that's good. That shows
it's a good sign.
It's a good sign.
It's a good line. Can we create a disco ball?
You know, I have old bowling balls that I actually cover with mirror tile, and do yard art out of them. So, all right.
Oh, yes.
Cool. Now we're just going to turn it. And I use the edge of my work table to line it up. You have to have the proper tools, and these are pliers that have texture on both ends. And then you're going to gently squeeze. This is like one of my favorite parts when it goes. And you're just going to kind of wiggle it, just a little wiggle, and you want to hold it here. And I'm just wiggling, moving it.
Oh.
I'm going to have to put my hip into it a little bit here. There we go. Well, not too bad.
Give me a crack. Maybe the hips.
And bring your hand down. You want to come, there you go. Ta-da!
Did you see that? That was remarkable.
So instead of going up, you need to kind of bring it down. Isn't that a wonderful feeling when that just...
That was really cool.
Okay. The last step is I want you just then to get used to using these wonderful nippers. And I'm just going to catch my mirror tile right there. You don't ever take and just cut the whole thing. You're just basically grabbing just a little edge of it, and just a little tiny cut like that.
And it just cuts the entire piece. How is that? Why is that? Thank you.
It's, again, you're breaking that surface tension. So, you know, some people I've seen them where they're actually trying to cut through that whole piece, and you just want to catch the little edge of it. Good. You're a natural on that.
Woohoo! When I discovered through our conversation that you created I call them the disco ball herky,
Yes, the disco
on
herky.
the campus there by the old Hampshire. How was that to create? It's pretty big.
It was huge, and it was really fun. I loved it. Once you get these pieces all in place, then you know what your next step is after you've used your adhesive and arrange things is you take and put grout in between the opening.
Thanks for giving me the assignment. Now
You did
I'm
a
going to
great
be
job.
knocking on your door. I need a new disco ball. Let's go after it. Let me cut. Let me get to it.
I think you could probably be producing them yourself in no time.
Then I can sell them because those things are pretty pricey, you know? I'm going to find out the secret here.
So the secret is you can basically cover anything with mosaic tile and have wonderful sculptural pieces. I take furniture, walls, floors, whatever.
Whatever it has. Well, there you go. So that's your lesson about mosaics. And thank you for tuning into this segment of Frame. Frame is sponsored by Allegra, Ann and Bill Staymates, Click Marketing Solutions, Style Folio Jewelry,